right, this week for setting, we're going to work on setting what we call an A, or what better known as a 31, either or. For the club, we like to call it an A. So I have Kate Jackway with me today, and she is just going to make sure she sets her feet every single time, is squared up to the outside, and she's throwing these fast, quick balls right to the A. It'll look a little bit like this. Good. It's really important when setting these A's or any middle set that you're able to see your middle in the air. So if they're obviously farther back as you have the ball in your hands, you might have to go a little bit higher, a little bit slower for this 31 or an A. But if you see them right towards the net, you need to fire it into their hands. Good. Left, right every single time. Hands up quick, big hands. Now we're going to run a few live 31s with Tyler, or A's. So here we go. Good. So it's super important to make sure that Kate's actually finding his left hand, because then he's going to rotate in, swing with his right. So he finds it with his left, Kate's going to find his left, then he'll swing with his right. Good. So also another key, just like any other set, we want to make sure we're keeping this ball a little bit off the net. We don't want to trap anybody into a blocker. Good. Finding his hand, firing it right in. All right, next we're actually going to set our one ball, or at Empowered we call this the B. So middles, make sure you're staying off the net, staying past your setter, because Kate is actually going to push it to your hand, and we don't want to have the misconception of actually setting it way too tight. So a lot of times we think we want to lead them, which is a great idea, but you don't want to lead them into a middle blocker way too tight on the net. So make sure it's a little bit off, right into that person's right hand if they're right-handed, or the left hand if you have a lefty middle, which sometimes does happen. So it's going to look a little bit like this. So now we're actually going to set this ball perfectly a little bit off the net, find Tyler's right hand. All right, next we're going to have Kate set a slide, or at Empowered we call it a fire. So with this slide, some things to think about, depending on where your middle is. Like every single time you're about to set a ball, you should track your middle. Okay, so if your middle is more in front, maybe you have to slow down the set a little bit, give a little lift on the ball so they have time to get around. If the middle's already past you and you have your hands on that ball, then you know you have to speed it up a lot faster. So I would say more of like aim for almost like the second red on the antenna, but obviously your set height is always going to be different, and your speed depending on how athletic your middle is, how high they jump, how tall they are. So it all depends. For our team, it's about the second red. So here's a little look. Good, so we're going to go a little faster, we're going to chuck it out. There we go. Perfect, a little higher. So I want this ball almost dying outside the antenna, because I want my middle to be chasing the ball.